Yeah. Another episode of the Mitch Gray Show. Thank you so much for checking us out. If you've not subscribed to the show, make sure you do so anywhere you listen to podcasts, iTunes, Stitcher. I think we're even on iHeart, maybe Spotify, etc. So yeah, make sure you go subscribe. Tell all your friends to subscribe to us. We've got some really great stuff, some good inspiration, good hope-filled, fun times here on the Mitch Gray Show. So, also, if you've not purchased your copy of the new book, The Gathering Place, make sure you do that as soon as possible. That book is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Lulu.com. If you want an autographed copy, you can also visit mitchgray.me. That's mitchgray.me. And you can also find our music there, etc., along with the book. So, also follow along on social media at mgraymedia. That's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We do a weekly IGTV episode. We also post a ton of content during the week to all three platforms. And we also appear on some other people's Instagram lives and all that fun stuff. So every week we've got a new IGTV episode. We've got a new podcast. And we've got great content, so make sure you follow us everywhere you can. I think that's all I've got for today. So now on to the topic. Yes, this week's topic. If you've been following us on social media, you know what this week's topic is. If you have not, first of all, you should pause this episode, click on your favorite social media platform, and follow us. Then you'll know what the topics are every week, and you'll get tons of good information to inspire your soul. We all do it, right? Assume? Yeah? We all assume things. We all make assumptions. And my dad, in his wisdom and kindness and in the most compassionate way he could put it when I was a kid, he would say it this way. Take the word assumption, get rid of all of the letters except for the first three, and we all know what that makes of us, don't we? Yes, assuming things never turns out well. It doesn't turn out well. Like when we assume we know the story, most of the time we really don't. I like to call it the audacity of assumptions. The audacity of assumptions. It's almost like we think someone gave us the power to write the story of other people's lives and even our own lives, and we don't even know what the heck's going on, right? Like, we've never even engaged with this person or oftentimes even with ourselves. It's like the stranger walks into the room and everyone looks at the stranger and they automatically start telling the story, right? They automatically start assuming that they know this person is rich or poor, successful or not. They already start assuming that this person has a family and kids or a yacht out in the bay. Maybe this person comes from the East Coast or the West Coast. Maybe this person loves fashion or doesn't really care what they wear every day of the week. Maybe this person loves tofu or really enjoys beef. Right? We all make the assumptions. The funny thing is they're rarely true. Assumptions are an interesting game. In my opinion, assumptions can go one of two ways. Either A, you can go the path of allowing assumptions to lead you toward writing a false story. You know the voice in your head, don't you? It's the voice that says, oh, you could never do that. It's the voice that says you'll never be good enough. It's the voice that says no one loves you and never will. It's the voice that says you can't go back to school at your age. It's the voice that says you'll never lose that weight. It's the voice that says you'll never get out of debt. It's the voice that says you can never accomplish that dream. Oh, the audacity of assumptions. You see, we know about the external assumptions, right? We know about the stranger that walked in the room and we wrote the story. We know about the feelings that we get when others assume things about us. We've all had those moments in times that we've had to confront someone about assumptions that they made about us. We've all scrolled social media, right? And we have this idea that we know these people's lives when we really don't know them at all. We know about the external assumptions, but it's often the internal assumptions that we never deal with. It's the path that leads us to negativity and doubt. It's the path that stops us from engaging with that stranger. It's the path that only forces us to live at a social media shallow level of life, rather than actually diving into relationships and all the blood and the mess and the goriness that relationships bring with them. The path of negativity that the audacity of assumptions can lead us to. We know the external, but there's also, my brothers and sisters, the internal assumptions. The assumptions that we'll never achieve our dreams. The assumptions that we can never live up to expectation. The assumptions that we will never hit our goals. The assumptions that we will never be good enough. The path of negativity. And you know what, my friends? If those are the things that you think, then you are exactly right. Because we are actually living in the world that we have created. And every day that you have these dreams and these thoughts and these ideas of negativity, and you listen to the voices of doubt, and you make these audacious assumptions that project this negativity inward, you become those things. Your subconscious thought becomes your reality. Oh, the audacity of assumptions. Path number one is that we follow the assumption to negativity. We write the story of failure. We write the story that the stranger that walked into the room could never be our friend. They're too rich for us. They're too good for us. They're too poor for us. They're a different skin color than us. They don't know our story. So we write this unbelievable wave of verbiage simply through assumptions that have nothing to do with reality. Or we could follow path number two. Assumptions could either lead us to negativity and writing a false narrative, or assumptions could actually lead us to curiosity. Stranger walks in the room and we think, I wonder what this person is about. And then we muster the courage to actually find out. We see this life being portrayed on social media through our, quote, friends on social media, right? You know, it's the ones that you see all the stuff on Facebook and then you've never met this person in real life. All of a sudden on Tuesday night, you're shopping at the grocery store and you see this person across the store in the other aisle and you're like, oh my gosh, I kind of know that person, but I've never met this person. You really don't know them. So you start assuming. But the path of curiosity actually leads us to a deeper way of living. The path of curiosity actually says, I've seen this person on social media, but now I see them in flesh and blood, and I'm actually going to go meet them because I'm really not their friend yet. The path of curiosity says, no. Most people my age may not go back to school, but I will. Because it's who I want to be. It's what I want to do. You're right. Most people decide that they can't pursue this crazy idea as a career. But you know what? I am. Because it's what I want to do. I'm going to discover it, research it, find out more about it, plan it, dream it, and go. I'm going to live with courage. I'm not going to allow the voice in my head that is telling me I can't. I'm not going to allow the voices externally that is telling me it will never work. I'm not going to allow my life to be built on the foundation of assumptions. Instead, I'm going to raise my level of curiosity and raise my level of courage. And I'm going to pick up that guitar and I'm going to write more songs. And I'm going to pick up that paintbrush and I'm going to paint more canvases. And I'm going to pick up that pen and I'm going to write more stories. And I'm going to take my computer and enroll in those classes. I'm going to go to the bank and get some advice about starting this new business. I am not going to allow assumptions to be the foundation of my life. Yes, curiosity will lead me to bravery. Curiosity will lead me to courage. Path number 1 with the audacity of assumptions, I could follow the way of negativity. I could listen to the voices in my head. I could listen to the external voices that say, no, you cannot. Or I could choose the path of curiosity and have the courage and the bravery and the boldness to build a strong foundation of adventure and of discovery. And before you know it, brothers and sisters, that curiosity has led you to exactly where you're meant to be. The audacity of assumptions. For the last 8 to 10 years, I've been teaching groups of teenagers. And oftentimes what I'll do is, most of these courses are 8 to 12-week courses. And most of the time, during the first 2 or 3 weeks, I never give an introduction of myself. Rather, I start the class and we just start going, and I earn a little bit of their respect and I earn a little bit of their trust. And all of a sudden, I just become this facilitator of self-discovery for this group of teenagers. And then in about week 9 or 10, I'll walk in and I'll leave one session for the kids to just ask me questions about myself, about life, about what we've learned and what we've discovered. And it's kind of interesting because as I respond to these great questions, all of a sudden you can see some of these kids start going, oh yeah, now that makes sense. And I do this for a few reasons. Number one, it's kind of my way of Jedi mind tricking kids, right? Not in a bad way, but it's this idea that I am aware that when I walk into a room, they automatically have these assumptions created about me. And I also know that very rarely will they begin to ask questions confronting those assumptions until I've gained their trust. And so I allow them to sit with these assumptions for a couple of months. It's an interesting thing when we know that we're telling a false narrative, and instead of finding the solution right away, we kind of swim around in that false narrative for a bit, especially when the reality is confronting us head on. And so then when week 9 or 10 rolls around and our session for Q&A happens, all of a sudden, all of these assumptions that have been made are now combated. And they're faced with the reality of, man, what I thought about you is actually not the truth. A few times it is, but for the most part, it's not. And then they all of a sudden discover all these amazing things. But the most empowering thing that these young people discover is when you allow assumptions to create the narrative, you're following the path of negativity and the path of chaos of thought. Yet when you begin to follow the path of curiosity, when you allow those assumptions that start creeping in to inspire question asking and engagement and response and reaction, all of a sudden the truth of the narrative begins to come to the surface. And what I often leave with them is this: what were some things in the beginning that you assumed about me? And it usually becomes this laughing moment, right? Like they're all of a sudden thinking, oh yeah, those assumptions I had, they weren't really the truth. Here's my question, brothers and sisters. Number one, what have you been assuming about yourself? Is there anything in your life that in your mind you've thought, I could do that? And then all of a sudden you fall back on the assumption of, no, I really couldn't. Maybe you've been trying to get in better physical condition. Maybe you've been trying to lose weight. And the only voice in your head is saying you've tried it before and it's never worked. Don't let that lead you to the assumption that it will never work. Maybe you're trying to start that new business. Maybe you're jumping forth into a new endeavor. Maybe you're the creative person that has the next idea, but oftentimes the voice is telling you, do people really want to read your book? Do people really want to listen to your podcast? Will they really like that music? Allow those questions of negativity to inspire you to courageous living. Allow the questions to say, you know what? I don't know if people will want to read my book, but I know I have something to say, and I'm going to say it. I know I have a song to write, and I'm going to write it. I know I have a canvas to paint, and I will paint it because I have a story to tell. Oftentimes, brothers and sisters, that story that we're given to tell is less about the people we think and more about the freedom of self. Oftentimes, when we try something new, when we try something risky, when we do something that we think is to benefit other people, is most of the time to actually liberate self. And through liberating self, and through overcoming the audacity of assumptions, and through living in curiosity and discovery, what happens is we become liberated and brave and courageous. And the people that are influenced by what we've given aren't as influenced by the actual thing we've created. What they're really influenced and empowered by is the courageousness and boldness and audacity that it actually took to create that thing. So don't get it twisted, brothers and sisters. That thing that you're doing, the creation that you're creating, the goal that you're setting, it's much less about that and more about the path it will take to get there. The audacity of assumptions. We all do it, don't we? The question, brothers and sisters, is this: what will assumptions make of you? Thanks for listening. I hope you really, really got something from this podcast. Make sure you subscribe to The Mitch Gray Show. Follow us on social media at mgraymedia. Hey, go order that new book, that new thing I created. Yeah, go check that and order it. Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I appreciate it very much, and I will talk to you soon. And we love to just go straight up the mountain. And there's some of us that are the explorers, and we love to take the long way around because we want to discover and we're curious and we want to explore. There's some of us that are the campers, and we like to go for a few days and then spend a few days resting and relaxing. There's some of us that are the ones that love to play in the water or build swings. It takes all different paths, and that is beautiful. And there's many that have come before you and I, and they took their path. And when we look at their path, we honor that path. When we see their belief systems, we honor and we hold dear those belief systems. Because if it wasn't for those belief systems, good or bad, negative or positive, we wouldn't be where we are today. And let me tell you, brothers and sisters, the voices of positivity and the voices of hope are growing louder and stronger and more in number. It's just that you need to listen. You need to listen. Let me encourage you with this. If you find yourself not atheistic towards your former way of thought, then my question would be, what are you doing to invest daily in yourself? Are you surrounding yourself with new opportunities, with new friends? Not that you're going to throw the old ones away unless you need to, unless their negative influence on you is hurting your life. But are you expanding the circle of people around you? Are you expanding the circle of opportunities? Are you building new thresholds?